Welcome back. Game 3 on the horizon for Direwolves and Peace here. Peace currently up 2-0 in games, and I think we've all been a little bit caught off guard with that one. Also, Rusty, checking in quickly. How was your lunch? Was it lovely? Was there enough time to eat? What's going on?
Was it what? Mate, they were moving furniture outside. It had nothing to do with food. It wasn't about dinners ready. They were literally moving stuff around. Where'd this food come from? That's why I was
don't know. They just got sick of this guy in the living room yelling all the time, so they decided to move him out.
I thought you were just having a barbie out the backyard, you know, a couple of couches on the grass, who cares? You had your pool there as well after the floods the other week, so you've got everything going for you.
Should we get the floaties out? Nah, the pool's gone, unfortunately, Max, so we're just land sharks now. It's tragic.
Well, there you go. So, Land Sharks. Sounds like a B-grade movie. Let's move away from B-grade movies and back into A-grade gameplay from Peace in particular. Are they going to close this one out 3-0? Are we going to see any changes in the draft? You know, any predictions here? Because we certainly saw something that didn't work up in that top lane. Claire on the Akali, unfortunately, seemed to be a weaker piece of the puzzle there for Direwolves. So do you expect him to go back towards, you know, a Camille, a Nah, something a bit, you know, tankier this time?
Yes. I mean, I don't think we'll see the Akali again. I think in terms of what it did, it was okay, right? They wanted a magic damage dealing top laner. I know that it's flexible between Claire and Shock because they're both mid laners. But at the same time, we saw nothing from that Akali that's given me merit to say we should see it again. It got solo killed like level 5 by the Renekton, and that was it. We never saw anything from the Akali for the rest of the game. Appy has too much of a handle on it, so probably back to conventional, probably back to stable Mac in top lane would be nice.
Yeah, well, something stable would be nice indeed. And, you know, even at mid, it seems like Halo has been performing spectacularly today as opposed to, you know, some of his other games where he got picked on a lot. Direwolves don't seem to be focusing him as much. And when they do, we always see these rotations coming out from Peace as well. So I dare say we will see that trend continue. You know, protect the mid laner, protect the man that is, you know, keeping your life in check, making sure all the boys band together for Peace. It's so weird because we all expected maybe a mental crumbling point for Peace, which usually you can pick. And the question is that going to be this game? Or are they going to close out clean 3-0? Find out very shortly because everyone at home. Direwolves and Peace, game at 3 coming up right now.
Could be the final game of this series as well, Rusty, if things continue in the fashion that they have. It's 2 already on the board for Peace, 0 for Direwolves, upsetting all of us in our predictions so far. But just having a quick look across the bans, very important change-up. No more Lilia. So Peace are going to be forced to change up their jungle selection. That's gone to Udyr for Lisa. Direwolves for their own right. They just seem to be sort of trading bans here and there with Peace. You know, we've got the Rakan, Syndra, Hecarim, Seraphine, and Thresh ban in every single game so far. The only difference this time is that the Lilia has come through instead of whatever it else was that was actually getting banned. But it still seems like it's kind of the same draft process for Direwolves. Tristana first, play that flex, you got the Alistar support. But now we are talking. We have got a little bit of something to have a bit of a think about here. The Volibear jungle, it's just been buffed. Wasn't sure we were going to see it today, but we've got it.
We do. We've got it. We're ready to go. The Volibear is in. 11.6 is the patch we're on just for everyone at home as well. It was changed. It was buffed for jungling, and that's most likely where we'll be seeing it go today. Looking at the rest of the draft so far, like you highlight Lilia being taken away, it was taken away by Peace. Direwolves have once again, as the losing side, get to choose their side for the next game. They've chosen blue side every single game so far. They want to stay there. They want to continue those target bans, and they are deathly afraid of the Xayah Rakan bot lane from Peace, it seems, to the point where they were willing to give over the Jinx once more with that Galio.
Yeah, the Jinx Galio was what Peace selected in the first game. So going up against Tristana Alistar again. Again, I don't know that it's been the bot lane that's been a hugely impactful area of the map. A lot of the fights, a lot of the shenanigans, I'll say, have been going down in top and mid and around those areas.
Yeah, I'd say Gunkrab and Violet haven't been the most influential, right? They obviously have been in the team fights, but Cupcake's had a massive influence on these games so far. Jordan, for better or worse.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's funny, echo each other's thoughts. You know, I was Not sure where you were going with that one, but anyways, looks like we're on the same page. And it's weird to say as well, isn't it? Because normally when we're talking about Peace, we're looking probably at Violet as being the standout player, and certainly Violet and Aladoric as a duo as being the brightest point of the Peace roster. But today they've just been in the backpack, and that's been fine. You know, sometimes you're happy to take that role, and so far so good for Peace as they do lock in the Silas. I mean, again, it's a little bit of a flex. Could go either up into top or into mid. What is the response from Direwolves, though? That's the biggest factor here. They've got a top laner and a mid laner still yet to pick, and then Peace gets that counter. Few mid lane bans coming through, so we're going to get to see something different here. Azir is the choice for Direwolves.
Yeah, and we're just looking at what goes with it, right, in top lane. They've got decent damage mix now. This is the type of comp where you could consider the Camille, Nara, Renekton style champions that we have started to see more and more from Claire, and we've started to like more and more from Claire. So World's his oyster now in terms of champions he would like to pick. They've got decent engage already. They've got good scaling damage, so something complementary would be preferred. And Renekton is the most stable of all of those, so makes the most sense. For the Silas, just quietly as well, while we're looking at that pick, it's already into an Alistar. So you're laughing. It really doesn't matter. Like, you've got a Volibear whose ultimate you could steal also, but Silas with Alistar ult, having the Unbreakable Wheel is obnoxious because you're actually unkillable. You've got W on such a low cooldown while not taking damage, so you just win team fights when you time that well. So it's always going to be a money option for them as Peace round out their comp.
Yeah, a bit more of a standard top lane this time with the Renekton up against the Gnar. We've seen that quite a lot. I'd say this is probably going to work out a little bit better for Direwolves. We've seen some good stuff on Renekton from Claire in the past. You know, we've spoken about the reasons for that being that he was able to play a bit of Renekton back in the mid days. And I mean, for Appy, he's got no qualms about moving on to Gnar either. He's played a lot of Gnar this season, had great success on that champion. Certainly fits the bill for what Peace needs out of him as well. You've got good engage with the Gnar ultimate. You have the follow-up if Udi is able to get a stun. You know, you just jump forward, manage to catch back up. So there's a lot of crowd control again coming out here for Peace. Direwolves, at least it feels like they've been able to play this draft the way that they wanted to, as opposed to being forced into a corner this time by Peace. So there is that benefit at least. I feel like Game 3 is already starting off a little bit better than what Game 2 did.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, right, Direwolves, I do think, drafted with their own agency once again, so it is less about adapting to the series, more about going back to what we know works for them. But even harkening back to that Game 1, it was a disaster when they just picked their own comfort stuff. So it's so much more about how they play than what they're picking at this point, I think, where Peace on the other side of the coin have got strong champions in their own rights. Strong champions on each individual player specifically as well. Halo's the one major point of difference here draft-wise. Instead of going for like a Victor or a Lucian for a ranged champion, he's gone much more for the risky melee choice of the Silas, which is much less about that laning phase and much more about those skirmishes and team fights post-level 6, as well as Violet and Aladoric looking to play for their team. So while the engage isn't exceptional, it's not a giant Ornhorn, of course, it exists, and they've got decent combos with a Gnar and a Galio.
Well, Halo has been a standout for Peace so far in this series as we head into game number 3. It's do or die for Direwolves. Peace have the 2-0 lead and Direwolves playing for the reverse sweep now. But I want to touch back onto Halo. You know, so far this series, played the Lucian, played the Victor, had 2 very, very good games in a row. And Rusty, if you had to pick an MVP of the series, I actually probably would float Halo for me as the one.
I'm thinking solo laners in general. You know, Halo and Appy have both been standouts so far. Halo definitely having an exceptional Victor performance, but you have to remember the catalyst for all of this has been advantages in top lane. Game 1, there was really nice teleports from Halo to help in top lane, but at the same time, Appy was cancelling spells and doing a lot of good work himself to enable that to happen. So definitely a toss-up between those two for me, and if this does end up being a 3-0, it could be a determining factor in this one, but nevertheless, let's focus on the game as it happens. The rare opportunity, Elfish Guy, to talk about jungling as it happens, not a coach interview this time.
Yep.
So we've got our red buff start with a leash for the side of Direwolves, as Halo's going to late ward the Raptors to see where this Volibear goes. It's good at late information. where Lisa is doing a leashless blue start into probably Grompel's level 3 clear. Hiding where his whereabouts does make it a little bit more potent for the side of Peace being aggressive in lanes.
What does this leash actually force for Direwolves? You know, the fact that Gunkrab and Cupcake are late into the bot lane means that there's a little bit less prio for them. Surely Violet and Aladoric are getting the push.
That means level 2 goes to Peace first. It means that they have to play respectfully and let the wave crash and bounce. It does mean that forced priority is there for Violet and for Aladoric, so Lisa has a really good time playing on the bottom side of the Rift. If he was to do a full clear, or even do the 3 camp, weak clear on the top side, recall with boots come towards bottom, like there's a possibility of a return gank. It just creates a lot of volatility in the lane state where Direwolves have to play well to stay in it. And as long as Peace ward properly and don't die to ganks, as you can tell by the Raptor ward they had, they'll be perfectly fine controlling the wave.
Well, speaking of the Raptor ward, we've got another one coming through, but this time from Direwolves. So Shock gets his ward down at a good timing and spots Lisa at the Raptors as well. It's equal amounts of information as to where both junglers are right now for each team. Both pathing towards the top side, but obviously a full clear coming through from Only, and he's just, I'd say a little bit, but it's actually quite a lot slower than Lisa right now on the Udyr, and that's just the nature of the beast, I suppose.
And that was with a leash, so
yeah,
just keep that in mind. It's accelerated Only's clear to help him keep up with an Udyr, but Udyr is Udyr. We're hitting that point now where Scuttle Crabs are going to be the point of focus. You look at priority in lanes and what that means. Shock has priority, but Violet and Aladoric have first move in bottom lanes. So this could be a pretty significant skirmish.
Yeah, this doesn't look too great. Lisa's come down, has the level advantage over Only as well. Direwolves, they don't want to see it start like this again, but it will. Shock down, and first blood goes over to Peace once again. Third game for the series, and they might just be able to compound that into a little bit more. Cupcake with the headbutt pole, Gunkrab. It's a trade, but the kill goes to Cupcake, and even still, there's more Peace players available. TP comes from Shock, in fact, returning from base. But Peace are out of there. They said they're happy with that. 2 for 1. And even the top lane
has killed Claire again.
Kill.
That's at least once every game, right?
Gunkrab's face says it all.
It's a disaster. To be blunt, top lane is a disaster this entire series. It has absolutely gone the way of Peace. Just top to toe. It's 36-15 in terms of farm. You can look at the minions that Claire's currently missing as he's choosing not to teleport. Halo in a bit of trouble here, just trying to force this wave in and reset it. Needs to be very respectful. His wave is a bit of a mess, but still, Peace are the ones in the lead right now.
Hang on. This could be something. Cupcake, headbutt pole of the flash. It's so good. Halo is dead. Aladoric in trouble now as well, and there's some assistance from Lisa. No teleport can come from the top lane. In the end, it's just the 1 kill for Direwolves, but finally some signs of life.
Yeah, that was a nice roam and nice timing from Cupcake. It was Peace overexerting themselves. Halo will be kicking himself because that wasn't a necessary death. He just assumed, you've got Aladoric nearby. He'll be able to tank the minions. He'll be able to use the Relic Shield proc. We'll get the wave in, we'll be fine, and then it's perfect. Perfect doesn't always go the way you would like it to be. We'll see what happens in top lane, as it does seem like Claire goes for the full slice dice trade. Appy is about to tick Mega, so maybe a flash W. Oh, just the auto attack. Good damage calcs. Also, that's on the nerf Nah. So a bit less damage on him overall. Still gets it.
Yeah, Claire going into a pretty big creep wave there. Just the extra damage coming through from that, helping out as well. Gunkrab getting some good shots onto Violet, but now the return is there. The counter engage from Peace. It's not really going to amount to a whole lot. Aladoric just locks them down for a moment to keep his AD carry safe. All's well that ends well in bot, as has been the case pretty much for this entire series. Bot has not really been the location of anything too substantial. Claire's going to go again, this time not an overcommitment.
And it's a plated steel cap rush from Appy as well, so he really is building himself to survive in that laning phase. It's a crucial item purchase. He got it very early into lane also, so in a very nice position is this Gnar in top lane. It was a nice little snipe in mid lane just quietly from Only with that E. The Sky Strike that we spoke about before is... Ooh.
Aladoric looks for the taunt, won't get it. Funnily, This reminds me of the interview that we had with Farmer earlier on. Not the interview that we did during the show, but the one that was pre-recorded by Direwolves, where he was sort of mentioning that Peace took some rough timings on objectives. And this time it actually works out in the favor of Peace, where Direwolves start an objective and then Peace just walks in and says, thank you very much. Is that 9 dragons this series for Peace so far and 0 for Direwolves? I think it is.
I think so. I don't remember if last game had a single one go their way at all. So Direwolves haven't had a single dragon in this entire series. It's been a mess. Yeah, and Heralds, I do think they've had a couple. So it's not like total objective control, but it's dragon domination at the very least.
All right, well. Violet and Aladoric are having a good time down in the bot lane as well, just shoving this tower in. Very close to getting themselves a plate.
Yeah.
Not going to overcommit for it. Giving the Direwolves the respect they deserve.
It'll happen eventually. You remember that trade that happened a minute or so ago as well in bottom lane? That was basically Violet and Aladoric looking to reset. And they don't get punished for it, unlike Halo, who of course did get taken down for that trade. But at the end of the day, things still going nicely for Peace overall. The 1.5k gold lead they have is well placed, and the top difference right now can be so significant come the next objective fights. And given that he's closest proximity to Herald, I like this idea of just forcing mid lane priority with a Galio roam and using Appy's existence because he doesn't have teleport to ensure objectives.
Shock might be in a spot of bother here if the chains connect, and they do. Emperor's Divide will just about get him out, but can Lisa force the issue again? Aladoric, did he get stuck on the wall? I don't know what happened just there, but there should have been some follow-up, and there wasn't. And now, all of a sudden, the turn, I don't know that that's going to go too well for Direwolves. You got Claire sitting in the middle of about 50,000 Peace players, or maybe it's just 4, but what difference does it really make? He's dead either way. 5-2 the scoreline now, Rusty, and it continues. It's just the same game over and over and over again, and Direwolves are behind from the outset.
I mean, Appy is probably worth that many players at this point, especially when he hits that Mega Gnar. So another team fight victory, another fight going the way of Peace. Shock with about 3 seconds on his flash. You know, actually, it looks like a little bit longer, but they catch him out, no flash, means he has to ult. Halo has stolen the Azir ultimate, so the second only jumps in to try and pick his moment to fight. It was good damage when he lands, but just gets pushed back out. And Claire trying his best, but Appy is just indomitable in comparison, survives for so long, even though he gets low. And they just take down Claire, continuing their lead.
Over and over and over again, Peace proving that their execution in these fights is just a little bit better than Direwolves. And so Direwolves have to fight from behind. They're seeing this playoffs series just sort of falling down in front of them. I mean, it's not the end of the road, is it, Rusty? So it's not the end of the world if they do lose this series. They'll go down into the lower bracket, but with the expectations that we all had, it feels like a resounding defeat for Direwolves, and it could well be. They can't find a way to turn it on right now. It has to happen in the next 5 minutes. They can't let things continue the way they have so far for the first 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to verse either of these teams in the lower bracket, right? And you're spot on in saying they've earned themselves a second chance by finishing top 3, that the loser of this series goes down to the lower bracket. But this is an absolute 3-0 smashing so far if it continues on this trajectory in this third game. You know, Drake control, team fights early, solo kills, it's all going the way of Peace.
Oh, here we go again. Appy's about to have some fun. Claire does pop the ultimate to keep himself a little healthier. But overall, that's a pretty reasonable trade for Appy. And, you know, we've talked about it in the past where Gnar doesn't necessarily always look for the kill threat when he uses the ulti. Yeah. Just for a bit of extra damage and a bit of presence in the lane. And Appy's got that in spades.
Exactly right. Of course, you can just force that off and be happy as Halo.
Ooh. What's going on here in mid? Looking for the taunt. Aladoric's going to connect that one onto Cupcake. No, it was only. He dives back on out. Cupcake goes back on in. And all of a sudden, Shock's got himself a kill. And that feels like maybe the first time the Direwolves are going to get an advantage in a fight. Here we go. Finally, they're starting to ramp up. A double kill for Shock. How huge is that in the context of this series? Well, we're about to find out in the next 10 minutes or so, because that could be the saving grace for Direwolves and their series.
If anyone needs a lead on the Direwolves, it is Shock. He is the person who has now earned that right as well with a fantastic Emperor's Divide. They are still winning top lane. They were still pushing bot lane minions. Can't stay there any longer if you're Violet, just because they're going to disengage to the Dragon. And Dragon number 10. Let it be known, no one takes 10 Dragons in a row away from the Direwolves. It, of course, all starts with Direwolves engaging. Halo has an Alistar ultimate, though, so like we highlight, is pretty hard to kill. But then goes forwards, and Shock has been pretty consistently hitting them this entire time. So all that was left was for Cupcake to hit that headbutt pulverize, and then a fantastic shuffle. Aladoric also hair's breath away from dying there from the Tristol, but survives. Thankfully for Peace.
Thankfully for Peace, but I want to say thankfully for Direwolves. They've been able to turn things back around. Claire, that's probably not where you want to be. He's gone over the wall straight into a taunt from Aladoric, and you'd probably be holding your head in your hands after that one. You've invested the teleport, the flash, he still died. Now the tower goes down as well. And just when there's a moment of respite for Direwolves, it feels like the pressure starts to mount again.
Yeah, it was about 1,080 gold goes into the pockets of Appy almost immediately just there, as they're able to pick themselves up the kill. 780 roughly from the turret plates as well. Another charge from that Rift Herald, and not the place that Claire wants to find himself in this series, not the place he wants to find himself in this game. He's got a Shock. You know, at the end of the day, Direwolves, they've got a Shock. And that's what they're going to have to hold on to for dear life, as a further 350 and another turret goes to the Dar.
A lot of weight on the shoulders of Shock. Doesn't even really have that substantial of a lead over his counterpart in mid. He tries to make it happen. That might not work out, but Cupcake is there to potentially save the day. Only goes over the wall. He's got enough damage for Halo, but he's also not going to survive. So it's a 1-for-1 in the end. Gun Crab should have Rocket Jump available and does. Ooh. And the Super Mega Death Rocket is more than a tickle, but not enough in this instance.
Yeah, not going to be lethal, but still definitely pushes him out. Definitely forces the reset, which again will buy time for Violet to push that bottom wave. Probably get a couple of, or not some plates, unfortunately, as it's 14 minutes, but a lot of damage then instead onto the turret. Nara is now going to be seen walking towards top lane, so you'll see Dire will start to play accordingly. A bit more aggressively bot side, but overall just winning pretty much everywhere.
Pretty comprehensively indeed. Appy's going to go and catch that wave in top. Continues to increase that lead in CS. Was about 30, now it's almost 40. Starting to build up further and further. Bit of respite, I think, at the moment for both teams, where things will slow down for the next minute or so. Rift Herald up in 50 seconds, Dragon in 2 minutes and 10 seconds. So this will be the eye of the storm before the first real proper, what feels like it should be a team fight.
Appy just hovering around Mega Gnar. If he jumps in, he wants to commit. Only is nearby, but there's many reinforcements from Peace as well.
I don't know how this is going to go well for Direwolves. Claire is getting soloed by Appy. Only is standing right there, but can he do anything to save him? Seems he's done enough, and maybe Appy's bitten off more than he can chew. Turbo Chem Tank's going to slow him down. Claire's going and looking for the stun, but won't find it.
Shock.
Can Appy escape? Shock's looking for something. Emperor's Divide is available. Guncrab dives in as well, but now he's taunted back on up. They're not going to turn. Peace are respecting the Azir and the presence.
Yeah, but they protect Mr. President, right? They get him to safety. They are able to disengage Appy. And meanwhile, they are pushing mid and bottom. Every single time we say this, we see a skirmish, you have to look at the minimap and acknowledge that Peace have less members and they are still coming out on top. This continues to happen. The lead continues to stretch now to 5,000. Violet has a 50 CS lead over Guncrab. It is still comprehensively going the way of Peace overall. When they start to hit these team fights, they are going to be so powerful.
Still holding on for dear life that there is something in the back pocket for Direwolves, Rusty. I'm not sure about you. There's... Look, like I've said, it's gotten better, you know? This isn't game one. It's also not game two.
They need 5 games maybe to hit peak performance at this rate, though. They don't have 5 games, though. The real worry for them is they need to turn it on immediately, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you have to fight for a dragon in 10 seconds immediately, but this game.
I think it's probably the kind of game where you need something like a big Baron steal into a team wipe that's going to just build that momentum, and then maybe that can snowball into games 4 and 5. If Direwolves can find that win condition. Let's see. This is a 5v5 by every sense of the word, and they've gotten on top of Shock. He's out of the fight. He's dead. And Gunkrab is now the focus for Violet, who'll just continue to chase everyone from Direwolves. CC coming through from Halo, and he'll get the kill onto Claire as well. Cupcake only and Gunkrab are left scurrying away. And that's as good as an ace for Peace, because it's going to get them the dragon, and that's what they wanted.
And that's the thing, right? Like, I think what Direwolves were looking for was maybe for Appy to lose his Mega Nard. There's an opportunity to fight then when he's stuck tired in mini. But, you know, he finds an opportunity before that ends. He finds Shock, of all people, who just should not be caught there. And so Peace find an opportunity. Claire is hardly a champion right now in comparison to everyone else on the Rift. So Halo's able to just easily pick him apart and single him out. And that was just easy for Peace. That whole fight was easy for Peace. It was given to them. Direwolves, we just mentioned it. Maybe you don't need to fight for a Cloud Dragon that was up just then. Yes, it's a Cloud Soul. You want to avoid giving dragons over, but I think you could maybe pick your battles a little bit better.
Maybe so. Not a single tower down so far for Peace. Direwolves haven't been able to really shove much in at all. So you're seeing the waves really pushing in the direction of Direwolves at the moment. They're having to do a lot of clearing. Shock does manage to put a bit of damage into that tower, and the Rift Herald should be enough to finish it off.
Be close.
Or maybe not, because Halo is arriving.
Just didn't want to stay, and I don't blame Shock in terms of reset timings. If he stayed to hit that turret, probably dies to a Galio and an Udyr that'll chase him down. Especially with your chem tank Udyr running around. Lisa's pretty scary, and you do not want to be isolated and picked off inside lane. Shock's flash, I believe, is also just about to become available. So it does need to be respectful, rightly so. We've seen what happens if he isn't. He gets one-tapped by an Appy.
No vision in the jungle right now for Shock, but his spider senses are tingling. And he'll just back away as Aladoric and Lisa hang around. Cupcake's going to get him the early warning system, and it's in the form of a headbutt pole. Now, Gunkrab is standing there as well, but it's going to be a whole lot of nothing in the end. See what happens in mid.
They're just going to play around Violet. They're playing around waves. Peace are looking to push in top lane to keep Shock busy. Now he's going to be showing himself clearing waves. They have vision control on top side, yes, with Baron up, but they're not playing for it. It's Halo.
They're going to go on Halo, only forcing the flash. Cupcake over the wall as well. They've actually, I wanted to say confirm the kill, but they haven't. There's a Zhonya for Halo. Look, he's still alive. It's going horribly wrong, isn't it? Aladoric in the end does drop. How? How is Halo still alive? He's getting out of there. He's disappearing. But Direwolves, they might be winning the fight. Maybe they're not. It's 4 on 3, but the HP is so low. And Violet has arrived. Halo just survived for so long.
If you want to pick a fight against the Silas, it better not just be an Alistar and a Volibear engaging on him, because he'll take the Alistar ultimate, and we said it in Champ Select. He is impossible to kill. The constant cycling of his W, the healing that he had, and his persistence and sticking power, and with, of course, Aladoric coming in to help him, he buys like 20 seconds. He buys way too much time. The rest of Peace come into the fight, they clean it up, and suddenly it's a Baron going their way, and we'll see this again, because it's an engage that goes forwards. Halo just able to sneak in the Alistar ultimate, steal flashes after using it, gets the Zhonyas. Another W. He's not taking any damage. He's just not. Aladoric dies, but that's because Only splits off from the Halo squad, and then they just get aggressive. They get into the fight. Flashing in, by the way, is Violet to make sure these are all secured. Because Peace know the fight is theirs if they have the numbers.
Well, it's a big fight for Violet. He's 3-0-4 right now and starting to get to that scary Jinx level where she seems to auto-attack faster than you can even see. Like, there's frames all over the place. It's just craziness. Has got the 2 items completed, looking for the 3rd now as well. And I don't know, when Jinx hits that stage where, like I said, she's just, I don't even know how to describe how fast she autos at some points, but gets pretty crazy. Anyway, Violet's there. And that's bad news for Direwolves. Even if they do have a Tristana, you know? You never want to see this kind of a Jinx on the other team. Because you just melt.
Once you get the Lord Dominic's Regards as your 3rd item as well with your Hurricane, like you've got a 0-5 Renekton on the other team who's building tank, but just isn't a tank at that point, right? You're just shredding. So no one's safe. Jinx is just going to be unstoppable if these team fights happen, especially considering the things that are standing in front of the Jinx. Very difficult to take him down as Halo could be caught again.
Could be, but he's also still a Silas, but he's under tower that's going to go down. In the end, it's a 4-on-1. Halo doesn't survive this, but is it worth it for Direwolves? Because I don't think Gunkrab can save that bot tower.
Surely not.
Okay, so Shock's going to stay in top. No, he's not. He's decided to recall again. I mean, they might just lose their entire base at this point. Peace are going to move up from the bot lane. Mid tower's about to go down in a second if... Never mind. We'll hold that thought because Direwolves have at least managed to get 5 back into their base. So they get a kill onto Halo. It's not even a shutdown though, remembering that he died in the previous fight. And they lose an inhibitor.
Yeah, he's just the only person they can kill, you know? And it feels bad for Halo, but he's surviving for a long time, and that's all he really needs to do, and it's winning. Like, the strategy is just winning for the side of Peace. Didn't have the Alistar ultimate to steal. He used an Azir ultimate that we saw as we panned over to him. So once again, could have even been a different story with how long he survived if he had that. And at the end of the day, it was an inhib take, and Dire was saying, I guess we can trade an inner turret for the inhib, whatever, like we are just losing. And then they realized, hang on, Peace could actually just end. So they do have to base. And unfortunately for Peace, it's not going to be a game-winning push. Fortunately for Direwolves, they saved themselves the Nexus, and they buy themselves, let's say, 1 more chance.
1 more's better than 0 more. I think that's the only takeaway I've got for that. There aren't too many favoring Direwolves. Trying to grasp at straws right now. Gunkrab's been progressing as best he can. 1-0 and 3. But it feels like he's never really going to hit that late game Tristana dream that he's been looking for this series. Has played only Tristana. In fact, the bot lane has been Tristana Alistar in all 3 of these games. But just hasn't hit that, that point that you want. So Peace now, after the Baron has faded, have at least got the advantage of the bot lane pushing in with the inhibitor being down. So they can focus on mid and top. Appy's down there to help that wave go in. Nearly has teleport, but not quite available right now. Only probably doesn't get out of here. Does just go over the wall. And Super Mega Death Rocket is blocked by Cupcake, so only does just survive. Cost him his flash and his ulti.
No Baron, no objective, nothing major to take for Peace. It is just going to be pushing in all 3 waves. Appy's also placed himself bot lane with the supers, so they really have been pushing that wave in to make sure they're still getting as much gold as possible, right? One big thing that people can do is forget about the super waves because they just constantly push and you're missing a whole wave worth of gold constantly, but not happening here.
Going exactly to plan for Peace so far. Appy uncontested in bot. Halo very difficult to deal with in top. And now the bot wave shoving. Shock is being forced to spend time down there to clear the wave. And this is where Peace can pull the trigger on mid. Turret's going to go down very quickly indeed with demolished stacks. And now it's inhibitor time.
Mega Nut does just run off, and you can see that Peace are being incredibly respectful. There's no reason to throw this game when they are so far ahead. If Appy loses the Mega Nut, just walk away. Just wait, buy some time. You've been pushing for a couple of minutes now, so you've definitely got money. They're going to be able to reset, get some extra items. And, I mean, again, laughing. You've got Baron in 30 seconds in terms of ways to break the map. That is the defining feature here. You've got a Cloud Soul ready in a minute 50 after Baron if you don't even get the full push. And at the end of the day, you've got 10 minutes to work with where you're in complete control. So there is no reason to overexert yourself, and they aren't. And it's working out nicely. That's a teleport flank.
That's a very fast dude here as well. Lisa just charging on in. Exhaust goes down onto Gunkrab as well, but he does flash the wall. Might just be able to get away, trying his damn best. How do you escape an Udyr? I lied, Rusty. There's no getting away. He's dead. And Gunkrab, that's his first death for this map. 26 minutes in, he's been trying so hard. But eventually, Peace will catch up.
There's just no safe place in that jungle. Udyr will chase you down. He will find you, and Liam Neeson comes through clutch. Mid lane outer turret is what it looks like Direwolves are going to try and trade for. A bit of vision control, a bit of priority around the Drake itself, sure, but end of the day, the Baron still goes the way of Peace. You've got Halo top lane without teleport. They're looking to split. Dragon's optional. It's a luxury if you get the soul. It doesn't actually matter. If you're able to use the Baron to push down inhibitors instead, that's a win. And Direwolves are not prepared for that push.
Well, just to touch on the Dragon tally again, it's 11-1, favoring Peace for Dragons so far in this series. Could get 3 out of 3 souls if they were really so inclined. It's definitely in the wheelhouse, but they might just look to end instead. This will be 3 inhibitors down unless Direwolves can do something about it. And what can you do about it right now? Peace are so strong. They've got Baron. They're shoving that inhibitor down. It's half HP. Appy is looking threatening, but he doesn't decide to go for the engage. Cupcake now might be caught, only trying to help out, but he's blown up. He's deleted. Gunkrab caught in the Empress Divide that was stolen by Halo, and all of a sudden, there goes the Dire Wolves. Peace will look toward the Nexus turrets, and this is really a victory lap at this point. 18-8, the scoreline in game number 3. They have such a significant gold lead again, 13,000 at 28 minutes, and the Nexus will fall, confirming the 3-0 for Peace today. They move on in the upper bracket, and they'll face Pentanet for another rematch. What a fantastic series from Peace today. They utterly dismantled the Direwolves.
An absolute slaughtering, a completely one-sided affair, never any way in for the Direwolves. And, you know, at best, Direwolves, you would say they had moments. And moments are not going to win you an entire best-of-5 series, especially when you're given 3 whole chances in terms of maps that you can give over, or 2 maps that you can give over in a 3rd game to play. Direwolves did not look like their regular selves, sure, but Peace, a whole new beast. And that's the type of Peace that if I was Pentanet, I'd be really seriously eyeing off now and saying that's dangerous.
Well, I'm looking forward to that game. I'm sure Mac is as well. And Mac, if there is one takeaway, one silver lining to that game, it's that at least we were all wrong.
Yeah, at least we were all wrong. See, I picked Direwolves when I looked at it because I was like, I still feel like they're probably the underdogs coming into this. But then everyone else went, boom, all right, we're all doing Direwolves. So, look, if I could quickly change mine to Peace, who apparently were the underdogs, then I'll take that happily. But look, you know, congratulations to Peace, 3-0 and the clean sweep, which no one saw coming. Again, look, it's one of those games where, like, when I saw Volley, I was like, cool, this is looking good. We get to see some Volley. Hopefully that goes well. And it did for a while. It went better than the other 2 games. Let's put it like that. Direwolves, you know, Claire still having a bit of a rough time up top, but that's what you got to expect going up against Appy, who's just such a strong top laner. I just don't understand how it's ended up this one-sided, 3-0.
Yeah, look, I don't know, man. If that was maybe a best-of-7 or a best-of-9 or whatever, there might have been time for Direwolves to actually catch up in that series, right? They were getting better the longer it went, the closer it got, but it just felt like they started from so far behind every single game. And Peace were able to convert it today. So, as Rusty said, a completely different looking Peace to what we saw in the final week of competition. Maybe playoffs has been that motivating factor for them. And I'm excited. Yeah. I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing from Peace here. If they can bring this out against Pentanet, then could be an interesting series.
Yeah, just crazy, crazy exciting gameplay all through this one. And I wonder if we'll get the same going in towards the second series. Now, I think, you know, the silver lining to this is that we get to see the Pentanet Peace rematch now in that upper bracket, and then potentially even for a 3rd time in playoff, or a 2nd time in playoffs if they make it all the way to the grand final. So I guess we'll see once we get there. But again, you know, Violet just got way too huge, hit right click very good, and shot too fast. So that's the jinx in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely could be the jinx in a nutshell. I think at the end of the day, Peace all around looked much improved as well. And the fact that we can say this through not just like this last game, but the entire series, it wasn't the Violet show, but they still won, is only positive, only praise that we can offer then. And for me, we do have to look at Direwolves still, however, because we aren't saying goodbye to them. We're seeing them again in the lower bracket, which is where they've earned their place in, against the winner of Order and Chiefs later today. Top lane, Claire did not have his best series of his life, that is for certain. I think he knows that the best out of all of us, and definitely has a lot of improvements to make on his day-to-day now. And an absurd amount of roaming from Cupcake, maybe tapered back just a little bit to help Gunkrab.
And look, Claire might not have had the best game of his life, but I'll tell you someone that might have, that's Appy, and he is our player of the day, or at least player of the series. So congratulations, Appy, for getting that, accolade. I'll give you, I'll write out an award for you. I think we actually have him for the interview as well. So let's bring Nat in. And Nat, how'd you like that series? It's been a while. It's been almost bloody 2 hours since we last saw you. How you doing?
I know. I mean, I miss being like just so constantly after every game coming in. But it was a really interesting game to watch. I'm not going to say it was good. My heart does go out to Direwolves. I did some quick maths, and throughout the whole series, the ratio was Direwolves got 1 dragon, and Peace got 11. Direwolves got 14 kills, and Peace got 58. So, yeah, it was rough. It was really rough to see those stat spreads over 3 games.
I'd love to know the towers as well. I don't know if you've worked that out, but
No,
that's definitely...
I didn't,
I would
sorry.
imagine it's on the same kind of scale.
Look, I mean, maybe Appy was doing some hardcore maths while he was down there on the Rift, but I do have him for an interview. Congratulations, Appy, on winning the series. How does it feel, the first best of 5, and it goes your way?
Thank you, first of all, and I actually feel very happy to beat Direwolves on best of 5 this time, because we were on a lose streak, but I'll say whole team we're still all very confident to beat every team. So yeah, I'm still everyone in our team is very happy to the win.
Before I ask any questions about the series, I do want to say you were voted or given Player of the Series by the talent. Is it an honor? How do you feel knowing that everyone thinks that you played out of your mind and deserve to be Player of the Series?
I mean, I had a good feeling after I woke up. I mean, I know I'm gonna play good for some reason. So, yeah. And also I verse swapped to top. So that's some, I'll take it. It's some practice I did before, and now it's everything's, I just proved I'm one of the best top laner. So I'm happy.
Oh, definitely. It is lining up for you. It was just your day-to-day. I do have to ask, I also said it, you guys got 11 dragons in that series over the 3 games. How do you guys have such insane dragon control? What was it that gave you so much control over it?
Yeah, so firstly, our bot lane obviously is the best bot lane in LCO. So they will have leads, or they will winning lanes basically every game, pretty much. And then, okay, so if top, if me didn't just somehow do some bad thing in the lane, and I don't have to use the TP to my lane, and when everyone doing normal, mids and top, and bots advantage will just help us get the dragon. So that's pretty much it.
That's advice. Just have the best lane in the league, and you're gonna get 11 dragons in a 3-game series. I want you to also walk me through the draft, because we kind of felt as if Direwolves never really got a footing with their draft. Did you guys do your drafting to counter them, or was it just more you played on comfort champs and that's how you got so far ahead?
I think our draft is so much better than them, at least first 2 games. So we basically just know what the champion, what champion they're gonna play, so, what they want, and we just sort our counters already. So they pretty much get out draft first 2 games at least, I'll say.
What was the communication like? What was the communication like for you guys in a lot of those games? Because the first 2 felt very aggressive and very full on, but the last one you seemed a little bit more calm, collected, a bit more methodical. You would take breaks and you would go back and reset a lot more?
The third game's like the champions, like just like Silas, is not like winning lane champion. It's not winning lane against Azir. I would say Na is not like a champion like beating Renekton. Like at least like it shouldn't. So the third game's like a little different. Like we know we just hard scaling because we have Violet on Jinx, so we just take everything slow. So we're still like the game's still in the plan. So yeah.
And the last question I do want to ask you is your upcoming game is going to be against Pentanet next week. How are you guys feeling with that one? And what is the prep that you're going to do coming into it? Because they have been looking mighty fine this split.
Yeah, not gonna leak any strats, any drop. But like against Pentanet, we did a lot prepared for them, so we'll see. I'll say we have higher chance to win. I'm very confident.
Look, after your showing today, I have no doubt about it. You guys are going to give us an amazing show when it comes to it. But congratulations again on the win, and I'm looking forward to when we see you next.
Thank you very much.
There you go. So pretty happy with himself. Good to see that Peace are doing a whole lot of prep work, especially going into tomorrow's match as well. So that'll certainly be something. And Appy, he was, you know, woke up feeling good, and it looked like that seems to be the secret. Maybe have a good night's sleep before your games, players out there. You know, looking at you, Pradith, while we're talking about it. Anyway, well,
What
not
time did
saying
you
he's
wake
not
up, Matt?
having a good sleep. I'll wake up at some point, you know, but I'm not. I was playing. I am playing today. Leaked. We'll talk about that in a moment, though. Let's have a quick look at that bracket. It has been updated. And it looks like you got Pentanet up there against Peace in round 2. Direwolves, of course, going down to play the winner of the next series of the day, which is going to be Audit taking on Chiefs. But 3-0 to Peace. Did you ever expect this one? Nat, I'll ask you, considering we've certainly been speaking about this for a couple of hours now.
I definitely didn't, and not to the extent that we obviously saw it. I thought if it was going to be a 3-0, maybe at least one of those games was going to be a scrappy win for one of the teams. But I don't know. Direwolves were building so much momentum. So I'm kind of hoping that what's happening is what happened at the start of the split for them. How started off a little slow at the bottom of the ladder, and before they knew it, they were coming in at second place. So maybe it's the same thing, just starting all over again with the playoffs.
Well, quickly, before we do go to a break, just want to mention that there will be a very secret, very intense, very crazy show match coming up shortly. I think, Nat, did you say you wanted to fight me in the server?
Yeah, you know, I've had beef with Rusty Cop in my predictions. I've had beef with Elfish Guy beating my predictions. So I thought, who on the panel today have I not had beef with? And I thought, Mac. And this is the perfect man that I want to take down onto the Rift and absolutely try and style on.
Well, I guess we'll see if that one happens. Now, ladies and gents, we are going to go to a short break before the show match. We are going to have Mac's mates coming up against Nat's Tees right after this.
Wow. Go on Halo, only forcing the Flash Cupcake over the wall as well. They've actually, I wanted to say confirmed the kill, but they haven't. There's a Zonya for Halo. Look, he's still alive. It's going horribly wrong, isn't it? Aladoric in the end does drop. How? How is Halo still alive? He's getting out of there. He's disappearing. But Direwolves, they might be winning the fight. Maybe they're not. It's 4 on 3, but the HP is so low. Gunkrab caught in the Empress Divide that was